So it's been a journey and continues to be a journey for me to battle my depression and to manage it every day. On top of that, also my health. My weight has been an issue. So almost 4 weeks ago, on January, let's see, I believe it, January 24th, I decided to go back on keto. I'd been on keto, 2017 into 2018, and I'd actually lost 60 pounds. I'd went from 300 pounds down to 240. Stresses of life. My wife was pregnant with our personal second child, but what would be our third in the family. And her being really sick during the pregnancy and me managing the other two kids, one of whom was a 1 year old and the other one was 3 at the time. So yeah, 3. Added a lot of stress, plus full-time jobs for both of us, and I slid off of keto. And looking back now, I think probably the reason that happened, truthfully, because I had to make food every day regardless. It just became easy to be lazy. But the real underlying issue is I still was not managing my depression. And personally, my depression and my stress, food was my drug of choice. Still is. So a lot like a drug addict, you seek out and crave the things that make you feel good. Sugar, carbs, great tasting food. And most people don't judge you for that. You get looks when you're overweight. You get the, hey, big guy, that kind of stuff. But generally people are not outwardly judging you versus if you were sitting at a table and someone was actively using drugs in a restaurant, things would be said and done. But we tend not to look at food that way. And at that point in time, I was actually off of antidepressants. I'd been on and off of them really since my late 20s. I'm 47 now. So never found one that really helped me. I'd done some therapy, some counseling. It helped a little bit, truthfully. Not really with my depression, but with some other personal issues I was going through. I didn't really ever address my depression in therapy previously. This time is different, though. I've been working since last year actively to manage my depression. Well, actually, I would say 2 years almost now. Got on a better antidepressant that works for me. And recently, though, I did have to up the dosage. And it really got me worried that I was going to go back down the same road I did with other antidepressants where they lose efficacy over time. And, I was talking to my therapist and he mentioned ketamine treatment, which I had heard about and knew how it worked, and it improves neuroplasticity so you can kind of rewire your brain and the way you think. And I did decide to do that, and I started that in early December. And part of that is using the resources available to you. I use MindBloom. And using the resources available to you, you have a psychiatrist that you meet with, a nurse practitioner psychiatrist, or a full MD psychiatrist. And you also have, I'd say a counselor. They're not, some of them are licensed therapists, but they're really more of a guide on getting the most out of the ketamine treatment. And in talking to both of them in December, I told them I was worried about my health. I'm on high blood pressure, all the symptoms of being diabetic or pre-diabetic. And I have 4 young kids. And they said, you're not going to be able to lose weight until you get your depression under control. And that was really the first time anyone had said that to me. And I guess, I always knew that I was addicted to food, and that was my go-to stress relief. As soon as I'd get angry or depressed or upset or stressful over something, I'd be marching into the kitchen to find something to snack on and to get that dopamine hit that the sweets and the carbohydrates provide. Which is really challenging, right? Because an alcoholic, a drug addict, they cannot do the drugs. They can go cold turkey. There's no reason why they need to drink alcohol. Food, you do sort of have to consume to live. So imagine being an alcoholic or a drug addict. And it's like, no, 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 you're drinking too much, but you do have to drink 2 beers a day in order to live. I think that's really the interesting thing about food addiction and people who struggle with their weight and depression, anxiety, and other trauma kind of based things is there's not enough pause given to those facts. So working with my therapist, actual counselor, plus the resources through Mind Bloom, by the end of January, I felt considerably better, along with my medical doctor getting my antidepressant levels correct. And I've really been on a path now to understand me, it sounds really hokey, but to love me more. I'll eventually get into the traumas from my childhood and my young adult life that really impacted me and my depression, which I will also say, I'm not saying my depression is all related to that. I do believe you can be predisposed to depression. Looking back, I remember being depressed as a child. I just didn't know what to call it. Was raised in a family that you don't talk about things like that. So anyway, now that those things are under control, I really have a better mindset to be able to lose weight. And I will say that this time feels considerably different. Before, when I was on keto, I was excited to lose weight. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to be lighter. I wanted to look better. I wanted to feel better. I wanted all of those things. But it's really hard to say the mind shift was not there. I did consider that a diet. Like, I was dieting. People would ask me, well, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, well, I'm dieting. I'm on keto. Now it's really about, this is just how I'm going to eat. I feel better. To tell you the truth, I really have almost transitioned from keto to carnivore. Now that I'm about 4 weeks in, I will eat some carbs. There are days where I'm like, I feel like I need a few carbs, and I don't beat myself up for it. I keep my carbs extremely low. And I've picked up walking every day because I do have a desk job and I sit all day. And so, yeah, those changes, that change in mindset, I definitely have had because I'm managing my depression, my slight anxiety, which I've never had before. It's really interesting. I was told my wife around Christmas, beginning of January, I hadn't checked the mail in a month, and she hadn't realized that. So our mailbox was slapped full. She's like, why haven't you checked the mail? I'm like, I don't know. I have anxiety about checking the mail. I know taxes are due and tax forms are coming, and I'd file our own taxes, and we own a couple small businesses. And I just had anxiety about getting taxes done this year. I don't know why. I've never had a problem before, but I just didn't really want to manage those things. So I've been working on that as well. So all that to say, my update today, I'm going to try to do these videos often and regular. My update today is since January 24th, I'm currently down 16 pounds. My weigh-ins are on Friday. Today's Tuesday. So hoping to break the 310 mark. I started off at 330. It was the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life, and just felt absolutely miserable over it. So we'll see you guys around.